If you are worrying about what other people are thinking of you, then this video is definitely for you. Because what we want to do is I want you to break it down here with me on why it matters so much to you. Number one, right out the gate, relatives are relatives, family are family. They do not have to be the same thing. And even if they are to you, their opinions of you and about you, your situation, do not matter. They don't even matter a little bit. And when you start to give it that much power, it will always have that much power. And then you start people pleasing, right? So you're going to make sure that they're taken care of and they're taken care of. You don't want them to think poorly of you. It's not that you don't want them to think poorly of you. It's that you don't want them to highlight how you think poorly of yourself. Because when you have self-confidence, it's just a fact. When you have self-confidence, when your esteem gets built, when you're really confident in your own direction, even though it may be wonky, you're not sure what that means long term, but you know that this is your path, whatever that may be, it doesn't matter about the unfavorable view that they have on you because it just bounces right off of you. So when you start unraveling that and you go down that rabbit hole, when they say something negative or disappointed in you or things like that, what it does is if you haven't built that self-confidence foundation, you're going to look at that and go, oh my God, that's right. Like, am I? Now you start second guessing yourself. Like, oh man, okay, I knew that I shouldn't have done that. Why? So now you start getting out of your own head and adopting what they're saying as facts. What they're saying about you is not facts. It is all based on their own perception, right? I've said this to you guys multiple times. If someone puts on sunglasses, okay, and let's say the sunglasses have dirt all over them for whatever reason, fingerprints and everything else. Everything that they see through this lens, it could be a beautiful bouquet of flowers. It could be a beautiful sunrise. Everything is still going to look distorted because they're looking at it through their lens. And a lot of it is based on their own view of themselves. Because when people, listen, everybody can have an opinion on something, but when they start judging it and they start projecting and needing to change and start trying to manipulate you into changing, that does not have anything to do with you. Not even a little bit. It has everything to do with them. So if they're looking through that lens of their own experiences and things that they've gone through and things that they believe, right? Personalization bias. Now they're going to look and they're going to get intimidated or a little dissonance when you're doing something opposite of what they would do, of what they would want from you. So it's going to trigger a reaction and an opinion and a judgment against you. All right, Kate, about you. And when you are in that space of insecurity, it's a really good teachable moment. See, everybody panics about it. I'm like, just like going into your triggers, never avoid your triggers. You want to walk through them. When people are highlighting something that is insecure within yourself, don't get inward about it. Don't be like, oh my gosh, like, oh my God, are they right? Are they right? Are they right? Now you start going through that paranoia. You're unsure about things in your life. Like all of these things become a thing just because what they said to you, because it's triggering the surface or it's going deeper than the surface on what those exposed sides of you are that you haven't addressed yet. So if you find yourself sitting into a place of, oh my God, what are they going to think about me? Oh my God, they think negative of me. They're thinking poorly of me. Oh, and you start unraveling. It's because a few things. Number one, you don't want to not be liked. And until you're okay with being the villain, disappointing people, and letting them say what they want to say on their own recognizance, you are going to constantly be attached and connected in an unhealthy way to what people say and think about you. It doesn't matter. All right. What does matter is when you look in the mirror, you can look at yourself and say, yeah, okay, I have some flaws. No big deal. I'm working on them. Oh, you know what? This is how I see myself today. Oh, got a great hair day. That's cool. And then if somebody says to you, oh, what'd you do to your hair? You'd be like, I don't know, but I love it. Right. Like you're not going to be like, oh, why? What's wrong? Like, you're not going to do that. And that's how you know that it's triggering something in you, even if you think it isn't. So if you walk out the house today, before you walk out the house, you're like, oh my God, I'm having such a great hair day. You love your hair. You love your style, right? Maybe it's a very, in your face style. I don't care. You love it. And then somebody, because it's a little different, it's not what they would do, goes, oh, geez, what'd you do to your hair? It doesn't matter what they think. Who cares? Put your hair up like this, put polka dots in it and green streaks if you want. I don't care. And if that happens, you tell them, oh, I love it. This is how my hair is, and I love every bit of it for myself. They're going to be like, oh, okay. Like they're not, and even if they're like, I don't like it, you can be like, well, it's not your hair. Like seriously, you say it's not your hair. You don't have to cut it this way. I love my hair. Because the thing is people want to be valid. They want their opinion to be your opinion. They want their judgment of you to change you into a space in which fits their narrative. Now they're comfortable because you're the person that they want you to be. We are not going to do that. We are not going to do that. If in fact you find yourself doing that and you're going down that rabbit hole, that's how you know that you are spiraling in an low self-esteem, insecure, not aware of self part of your life, right? So you have to ask yourself these questions. Number one, why do I hold anybody, I don't care who it is. Everybody's on equal playing level. Your mom and the guy at the bakery, same level. Why do I hold their opinion in such high regard about me? Got to ask yourself that question. I can't answer that for you. Oh, because they know, Why do you hold their value of opinion over how you see yourself? Is it because you don't like how you see yourself? Is it because you're not really sure how you see yourself? Is it because you're afraid of being different? I mean, there's a plethora of things that come into play. So that's the first question you ask yourself. Second question you ask yourself is, when they have an unfavorable feeling about me or an opinion about me, why do I take it so personal? Gotta ask yourself that. Number two is, why do I take what they're saying about me or judgment about me so personal? Because that's going to uncover a couple different layers to this whole thing. Because then it helps you understand what the root cause is. Okay, so those are two big questions to ask yourself, because then you're going to start seeing a pattern like, oh man, why do I care if they're disappointed in me? Which is question number three. Right? Why are you resisting being disliked? Not everybody on this planet is going to like you, and you don't like everybody on this planet. That does not make them unlovable. That does not make them bad people. Just because you don't vibe with them doesn't mean that 100 other people might. And so when you're in that space, you can see, oh man, I'm worried about not being liked because maybe I don't like myself. If you have a hard time, I don't care if you live by yourself, that doesn't mean that you're by yourself mentally. If you have a hard time sitting with yourself and seeing your flaws and seeing the things that you've done and things that you want to do and looking at it from a positive, teachable moment instead of persecuting yourself, well, guess what's going to happen? You're going to look externally for everybody else's validation. And that external validation is not your friend. Because if you're attached to that external validation, you will try to fit into this box of every different person. And then you'll never know who you are. You'll never know who you are. You're always going to come back and be like, well, who am I? Because you've identified yourself. And you see this a lot, even not just externally from people, but external expectations. Like, oh, I'm a mom, I'm a dad, I'm a teacher, I'm a doctor. Okay, those are things that you do. That is not who you are. And so if you keep attaching your value and worth to external opinions and people and things and jobs and money and status, you're not here. You'll never be here. To be here means, you know what? I'm going to be vulnerable for myself. I'm going to be okay with the things I did in the past. I'm going to let that go. I'm not going to let it be regretful. I'm going to let those regrets turn to learned lessons. And I'm going to keep it moving forward. So when you do that, you can start seeing a pattern of where it is that you lack. And it's always 1000% going to come back to you. It's something that you lack inside of you. So be really careful about blaming your childhood, blaming these people, blaming that person, blaming the narcissist. We know that that doesn't help. And we know that that could be the activation space, but you're here today. And it's taking that on to say, what am I insecure about? What areas do I need to work on? Why do I really care? And when you ask yourself those questions, you start digging deeper. It's a little bit of shadow work, but like you start digging deeper and deeper and deeper to what the actual root is. It might not just be that opinion. It might be what it brings up inside of you of lack of worth, of not being good enough. Okay, those are other people's voices, and it's taking all of that triggers you, and it's turning into a powerful, powerful space. Do that exercise.